Welcome to Life, the podcast that dives into life. It's open to life. We discuss and talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. My name is Adam Farrell, and I'm here with my co-host, Steve Ballard. Podcast. You're here with me, Adam Farrell, and Steve, and Chris. How are we doing?
Well, good. Thank you very much. How are you?
We're good. We're all good. We're all good. So, first ever Zoom podcast. It's a little bit different. This.
I know.
It feels a bit weird.
We put a shout out on, didn't we, on the Life Podcast Facebook page, asking for somebody to trial a Zoom with us, because obviously we were limited to people traveling to our studio, or we get in time to travel to them, so it opens up another avenue for Life Podcast, I suppose. And Chris was the unfortunate we'll see how it goes for this podcast. But yeah, we've been speaking to Chris for quite a while, haven't we?
Yeah,
trying to get a date down and whatnot. So just before Chris explains, to my knowledge, you'll have to speak to me, Chris, like you're speaking to a child when it comes to all this medical terminology, etc. But you was diagnosed from a young age, I believe, with a muscle deficiency disorder. No, what was it?
Is it?
No, I was diagnosed only 3 years ago.
Right. Okay.
Muscular dystrophy.
Sorry, what's it called again?
Muscular dystrophy.
Right. Okay. So what is that in layman's terms?
In layman's terms, my genetics mean that after a certain age or whenever it starts sort of progressing, rather than growing muscle or maintaining muscle, the muscles waste away, and there's no real kind of like fixing it. So muscular dystrophy covers about 60 different conditions. My one is called FSHD, which stands for fascioscapulohumeral muscular dystrophy. So it affects the face, the shoulders, the arms, and apparently my light. So my light's just died. That's a great omen. I'm just going to move for a second because the light in here is awful otherwise.
We can still see you all right. Well, I can.
Yeah, you right with that?
Yeah, that's fine for me.
It is what it is. It's life, mate.
Fair enough. Okay, yeah. So that's the condition in a nutshell, and sort of there's no cure for it at the moment. So over time, it's just gonna get worse.
Will that affect all muscle groups then? Every muscle in your body?
It varies from person to person with my particular condition. So although it affects the face, the arms, and the shoulders normally first, some people do get it in the front of their shin. So you imagine when you pick up your foot, the front of your shin contracts to pick your toes up, basically. Some people have that muscle start wasting, and then it means they can't pick their feet up when they walk, and they end up in a wheelchair inevitably.
Wow. Okay. So obviously 3 years, that's is that a short-term diagnosis, would you say, for the condition?
It's been going on for a long time. So I started getting symptoms probably around 16, 17, and it was originally just pains in my shoulder, and I thought it was just working over a desk or playing rugby. Rugby and shoulder problems kind of go hand in hand. So being a gym goer, I always was a bit bigger anyway, and it wasn't really a problem, and it kind of flew under the radar for quite a long time until I dislocated my collarbone for the third dislocation of my shoulder, and I was like, I really should get all this sort of looked at and find out why there's weaknesses. Physio sent me to a neurologist, and then they told me what it was. I had no idea what it was. Scared the hell out of me. I went away, scared myself silly for 3 months waiting for the results, and then of course when they told me, I pretty much knew all I needed to know about it by that point.
I can't imagine any news like that. You take it lightheartedly, do you?
No,
especially you being active. How old are you now, Chris?
I'm 29 now.
29. So you diagnosed at 26-ish.
Yeah.
And what age was you when you started to sort of think something's wrong?
Probably around 21, because that's when my chest started shrinking
Right.
rather than growing, and yeah, it was the root of a lot of jokes for a few years before I got diagnosed about being scared of the bench press or something like that. Which I was benching, but it just wasn't growing. My shoulders were growing, my chest wasn't growing. It was yeah, it was weird, but obviously I know why now.
Wow. Did you go on like a mad panic before you knew what it was, of changing nutrition, changing diet plan, training plans, and stuff like that to try and
No,
spur the growth?
not really. I mean, I wasn't playing rugby when I had it done because I dislocated my collarbone in training, because everything happens in training and not in a game. And I stopped playing whilst I could try and get it fixed, because at this point it was a dislocation here, and I'd already done both shoulders previously. And the more you do it, the weaker they get. So I was like, I really need to take some time out and fix it. And of course, it turned out that it's unfixable.
Wow. And from that, I suppose what obviously the few messages we've exchanged over the time, it's it's not stopped you, has it?
No, not stop the
Why am I
light
saying that?
either.
Twice that it's done that now. It's like, have I gone from being off to on and off, and that's
I think the light just
kind
knows
of
the
the right
mood.
time
Just
for conversation.
we'll set the time with what the condition is, and then we'll brighten the conversation back up.
That's it.
So yeah, basically, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question, because we got sidetracked there?
It's not stopped you, has it, from being active and being a gym goer and pushing on with your goals and whatnot?
No, I mean, at first it did. I went through like a bit of a grieving period over it, and I was like, what's the point of going to the gym? I obviously couldn't play rugby again, because I was like, well, I can't. And you get all those thoughts in your head of, I'm going to be in a wheelchair in a year, or I'm never going to, if I have kids, they're going to get it. All these sort of stuff all goes through your head. But no, a few months later, I was like, well, actually, it really means that it's going to be a chance to do something. Because I'm obviously not going to be fit and able forever, so I need to do something with it now. And then obviously that's when I started trying to do triathlon. So I'm now doing a lot with it, but at the time I was absolutely destroyed mentally. You know,
I can imagine.
yeah.
How do you pick yourself up? Well, what did you do to pick yourself up from something? Because you know, you just said that it's actually it's a chance to do something. That can't be an initial thought to snap you out of something so like devastating as that.
Well, I kind of needed to do something, to be honest. I was at a point where I was, I'd get up in the morning and it would be the first thing on my mind. I would have to take myself away from my desk at work, um, to go and cry in the toilets like a schoolgirl over it, because
Wow.
I literally couldn't think of anything else. And I was like, quite suicidal at one point. I was like, just there's no fucking point. Sorry, am I allowed to swear on here?
Yeah,
Yeah, do what
Yeah.
you want, mate.
Cool. All right. So yeah, I was at a point where I was like, I really need to snap myself out of it. Like it's gone on too long. I need to have a plan. And I already knew from like previous experience that running or working towards a particular goal, something exercise related, kind of keeps you not just progressing towards something, but it also gives you time to be on your own, to process your thoughts, etc. And I've always thought about trying to do an Ironman when I was older, because I was playing rugby, and there's no way you can train for that sort of thing when you're getting beaten up every weekend. So I was like, well, I'm not playing rugby now. I might as well have a go at this whilst I'm in the best condition I can be. And it will give me time to be on my own and kind of go through the process of breathing your thoughts.
Hmm.
can I
So
ask
you let it out via physical activity then?
Pretty much. Sorry, Adam, what you saying?
what rugby team did you play for?
Felixstowe.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just wondered.
That's where my family stem from, Felixstowe. So I need to go back soon. I'm doing a family tree, and it's all Felixstowe, Ipswich away. So I'm having a trip over there at some point to have a look at some old family sort of houses that are still up.
Nice. Well, drop me a message when you're down, mate. If I'm in the country, let's link up for a
Yeah,
beer.
definite. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. So yeah, what are you doing on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis now then, with sort of physical activities?
Well, I've kept myself fit whilst I've been traveling because I started working for myself again with the whole whilst I'm able. I left my corporate job just over a year later and started working for myself as a freelancer so that I could go traveling.
What do you do?
I'm a copywriter, and digital marketer.
A copywriter? What, as in a proofreader of stuff, or?
Like advertising writing, so people's
Oh right,
websites,
okay.
people's ads. I do a little bit of content like blogs as well.
Yeah, and that aids you to travel, does it?
Yeah, because I have to be just somewhere with a laptop and internet.
Oh, I see. So you're not traveling with work; you're just traveling and working at the same time.
Yeah, well, I work for myself, so wherever I
Oh,
am
what a
is the
nice
work.
life.
Yeah, well, it's hard to set up, but now that it's there, it's a good vehicle to be in whilst I'm able to be traveling around.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, back to the point. What are you doing on a week-to-week now then, physical activity-wise?
Well, I've just come back to the UK and picked up my bike, which I'm quite happy about. So I'm biking quite a lot, and I kept myself fit when I was traveling, just in the gym using the stationary bike, and I was dancing and doing martial arts as well. So it's been kind of quite relaxed whilst I've been away at the moment. But now that I've got the bike, I'm back over to the continent next month, and the training plan kind of really begins to step up because I've got another event in July.
What's that event?
Ironman. So I
Oh, you got an Ironman.
tried it in September, and on the day I wasn't enough. So giving it another go in July. I feel
What
quite
happened there
fit.
then?
Well, I messed up in the swim quite badly by not putting my goggles on. Panicked a little bit, and then I took my time with the swim because I was like, I need to get back on the bike in good shape. And I did get back on the bike in pretty good shape, and I wasn't with anyone, and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but I went off course. I went the wrong way, and a local actually turned me around about 5k off the track. He pulled up next to me like, "Oh, Iron Man," and I was like, "Yes, Iron Man." Like, I thought he was cheering me on, and he goes, "No, you're going the wrong way," and I was like, "Ah, fuck!" like, so
Oh
he turned me
no.
around, and by the time I got to the 60k cut off, I was a few minutes behind the cut off for that part.
Oh shit.
They pulled me off, but yeah, it was hard because it was a really hot day, and I blew myself up getting back to the track. And by the time I got to a water station, I'd been out of water for about half an hour, so I was like dehydrated, it's hot, really struggling at this point. And yeah, by the time I got to 60, I was pretty done, but I was pulled off. Really frustrating because there was about 20k of downhill after that 60k mark. So
Oh
if I'd
no.
been a few minutes earlier, I probably would have recovered on that downhill.
So what's the total distance?
So the swim is 3.8k, and then the cycle is 180k, and then the run is 42.2, which is a whole marathon. So it's a long way.
We've had some
And
freaks on lately, haven't we?
Yeah, haven't we?
the thing is,
Yeah.
the thing is, I've done all three of those distances separately. So it's not like I turned up to the day not really understanding what was going on. Like, I fully respect the distance, and I've done them all before. I've done a half Ironman in training before. It was just on the day it fell apart, and it is what it is.
You'll smash it
Wow.
this time though.
I hopefully will. Yeah,
Well,
I'm actually in Austria for a whole month this time before the event, so I can train on the hills in the heat, in the pool, in the lake. So to actually be
Is that where the
surrounded
event
by
is
that.
then?
Yeah, so Lake Wörthersee in Austria, beautiful.
Right,
Google.
okay. Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, that's pretty smart. So is there Ironmans in this country then that will match
Yeah,
that, or
the one in this country, I have to admit, I'm not going to do because
why?
it's in Bolton, and the cycling route, the hills are absolutely savage. It's known for being quite hard, Ironman Bolton.
Right, okay.
So as much as I'm the strongest on the bike, I would rather not.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too on that one.
for me either.
It's what, sorry, Adam?
So I don't think it's for me either.
No. So what sort of it's with obviously the muscle condition that you have, is swimming the easiest form of exercise or activity?
I couldn't actually swim when I started trying to go for triathlon because I used to swim front crawl when I was younger, but I haven't got the mobility in my shoulders to do it properly now. If I try and swim front crawl, then basically my shoulders just kind of like grind. It's really yeah, after all that training, I wouldn't have any shoulder joints left. So I learned to swim breaststroke, and thankfully in Felixstowe there's quite a big open water swimming group for the sea. And through that, I met a guy called Fernando who used to swim internationally for Holland, and a really nice guy. Thankfully, he was like, "Look, if you come to the pool, I'll teach you how to swim breaststroke more efficiently, because half of what you're doing in swimming is not so much propelling yourself through the water; it's stopping yourself from putting the brakes on by being in the wrong position."
What does that mean? Go into that a bit more detail, if you don't mind.
So when you swim breaststroke, obviously you come up and then swim down and then up and swim down.
I can't do that, you know.
Okay.
I can keep my head up, but
Essentially, a lot of it is if you've got a really wide kick, for instance, the moment you kick your legs out, you're actually creating a lot of drag on your body because you're widening the area that you're going into the water with. So you're actually
yeah,
slowing yourself down right before the kick. And if you're going wide, you're also forcing the water inwards rather than backwards. So a lot of the drills are about making sure that you keep your legs like in a straight line behind you and make sure you're kicking backwards. And on the front end, when you push your arms forward into the water, if your hands are up or down, then you're essentially pushing yourself backwards in the water because you're creating that resistance as you go through it. So it's about trying to make sure that your body's streamlined whilst generating as much power as possible.
yeah, that makes sense now.
It
It
doesn't
just didn't make sense when you was like,
complicated though.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to change how you move in the water if you've been swimming for a while. So it does take time to put into practice, but the drills for breaststroke are actually really good. I mean, they look quite funny when you're doing it in the pool because they're really kind of like small movements and whatever. But you know, it really did make a difference. Working with me took my like best 100 time down from like 235 to like 158. So you know, that's a
wow,
huge difference to make. And swimming fast, obviously, I can't swim 158 for the entire length. That'd be crazy. But you know, it's not just about the speed; it's also about getting it out of the water, feeling a lot better.
yeah.
I swim 2 lengths in a bloody 25-metre pool and I'm out of puff. The Lord knows how you can swim that.
You kind of just zone out in the water. To be fair, it's quite easy with breaststroke because it's all just like 1, 2, 3, 4. You kind of just get a bit like meditative with it, really.
Mm. It's the running that will kill me.
I hate running. I absolutely hate it. Like I've done marathons before, and like running is evil, and running off of a bike is more evil.
So
How many marathons have you done? Sorry,
yeah,
Adam.
I've done two. I've done two marathons before, and I'm
Really?
actually
When
doing
was?
I'm actually doing London this year as well.
Are you really?
oh,
Yeah, hopefully that's going to be my retirement marathon because I don't want to do any more marathons after that. But it's London, isn't it? You got to do
Oh,
London.
nice. That's quite hard to get accepted into, to get invited.
Yeah, well, I'm doing it through Muscular Dystrophy UK, so I've already done all the fundraising for them because I was meant to do it last year, but I got injured just after I got back from Austria and rolled it over to this year.
Oh, do you do it all for charity then, all your events?
Yeah, all for charity. So basically, I've paid for all the gear, I've paid for like the event, the travel, everything like that. But because I was kind of on my own personal journey a little bit there, yeah, I felt like sharing it would be good to motivate me to keep doing it. So I've actually
Yeah.
raised all the money I need for the marathon, and it's good to like share awareness and like the support messages that I've had from other people with FSH have been brilliant. And I've had people who have been newly diagnosed and in a bit of a bad mental state themselves kind of seen my story online and not call me, but send me a message, and like I've jumped on a Zoom and spoken to them about it. And you know, it's been a real positive thing to share awareness and get my story out there. So I'm quite happy I did it.
I mean, you're inspirational to me, let alone people that that you can relate to with the same condition. You must be sort of God status to them. You know,
Um,
looking up to you to what you can actually achieve. It's not all doom and gloom, is it?
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. And it's not all doom and gloom, because I think it's important to me that I know that, like, before I knew I had this, I've lived a really, like, good life athletically. Played rugby, travelled, and I've not had a bad life. I'm still not having a bad life, but having this condition can be a lot worse than it is for me. So I have to accept that I'm quite blessed in a way that it's not got me too badly. And it's been quite a motivator for me to go out and do things that I probably would have sat back and said one day. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's been quite positive for me, but it was a really hard time at the time.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I can't imagine.
No,
I don't think you
yeah,
can
I
imagine.
almost said the same thing there, Steve, and I sat and I've just thought, no, I can't imagine that at all. I don't know how that would necessarily play out if I got told that.
No.
Well, I think that you have to take time to grieve these kind of things, the same as you do with any kind of bad news, don't you?
Yeah, a sensible approach, rather than sort of like that. I don't want to say it, but that typical sort of masculine way of dealing with problems. You find a lot of males try to mask, don't they?
Well,
Opposed
to be
to
fair,
be honest.
so did I. I
Mhm.
mean, I almost felt ashamed of it at first. I was like, if I tell people, are they going to think less of me for it? Because I was a young, well, I'm still a young man, but, like, I was a young male guy going to the gym, really athletic, and my half of my persona was like, I'm a real sporty, like, athletic kind of guy. And suddenly I'm not that kind of guy, because I've got this condition that's actually going to make me even more that not that kind of guy going forwards. And it really forced me to kind of look at myself and go, well, why am I an athletic kind of guy? What is it that actually drives me to do these things? And it's not all about looking big and being big or being fit or whatever else, because you can only do that for a certain amount of time, and there was a shelf life on rugby anyway. So really, it was just moving on to the next stage of my life and what I can take forwards from that.
That's a great way of putting it. It's like, why do you do these activities in the first place? I suppose it's like challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it is challenging. I mean, rugby in itself is a brotherhood, and have either of you guys played rugby before?
Not like that.
I
Played for fun, but
Yeah, I've played for fun. I've trained with a few teams, but I've not actually played.
So Steve, you know that rugby's a bit of a culture rather than a
Mhm.
sport. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but the
Yeah,
guys, the
it's
guys from the club have been really good as well. Like, every time I see them, they've really supported my journey as well.
Are you still
Um,
involved with the club at all?
I did sort of stay a little bit involved, like, afterwards, on the committee, because I was on the committee for 10 years, and I used to be captain, so I'm kind of like quite ingrained in the club. There was a period of about a year where I really couldn't go near it, because it was just too upsetting not to be, like, in it, if you know what I mean. But I'm
Yeah.
kind of back there. When I'm back in the UK, I do go and have a drink with the boys and celebrate the wins and everything. And they're all like family to me. So
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's nice to have that constant support, isn't it?
yeah.
With I think Ryan mentioned that we had Ryan Johnson from Sheffield Eagles um, on the podcast, and he said it's quite a close knit sort of environment. I don't think you get that with other sports.
No, well, one of the things that I like is, like, as soon as you run into another rugby player or another rugby fan in another country, you're instantly best buds. Like,
Mm,
the Six Nations started whilst I was away at the beginning of this year, and I walked into a pub and found rugby fans, the only British guys that I'd found in that country as well. And immediately we all got on, and we had a great night, and none of us knew each other, and none of us have spoken to each other since. But it's really that you
doesn't
can you
matter, does
can go
it?
anywhere. You can go anywhere in the world, walk in, make a load of mates instantly. There's never, like, any dramas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose it's that tribal mentality, isn't it, of rugby? It's war.
Yeah,
Whichever way you look at it, it's war, isn't it?
it is. On the pitch, it's war. Off the pitch, it's brotherhood. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, well, it's a piss up, isn't it? Let's be
well,
honest.
yeah, yeah, we're pretty good
But
at
no,
that.
no, it's good. It's good. Yeah, I suppose it's that drive, isn't it, for challenging. And I started weight training a couple of years ago, but I just wanted to challenge myself on becoming the best I could at a certain thing, at building their physique. And that's challenging enough. But it's like, I think it's that drive in certain people, isn't it? That your challenge now is 10 times harder than what it was before. Do you think that's driving you a little bit more than before? Are you a bit more proactive with the fitness now, because it's more of a challenge?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more open to trying different things that are active now. And funnily enough, someone from the FSH community actually inspired me, sort of indirectly, a little while ago, because they put up a bit of a regret post saying that the one thing they wish they'd done when they were younger is learn how to tango. So obviously the dance tango. And I was in Georgia at the beginning of this year. Obviously, you guys know that because we had to reschedule me coming to see you.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that I got invited to a dance party that did Latin dances. And I turned up and I didn't know how they were doing any of these dances. I thought it meant clubbing, massive misunderstanding on my part. So, that was an experience in itself. But obviously then I was invited to go to classes. And before, I probably would have shaken that straight off and said no. But I remembered this guy's post about tango. And I was like, you know what, I'm here. I might as well give it a go. And actually, it's been amazing. I actually really quite like it. So if you get the chance, guys, go bachata dancing. It is quite fun. Loads of fit burns as well.
I do modern, well, I used to do modern jive. I did it for about 4 years.
Yeah, I've never done jive.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Good fun.
Yeah, but I think before I probably never would have bothered with it. The same as I never would have bothered learning how to swim. I don't think. I just accepted that I can't do front crawl and that I didn't really know how to do breaststroke, and that would have been that. But I think as these things crop up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I will give that a go. Actually,
yeah, I can't fault you. Can't be. It's just like becoming that yes man, isn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, great film as well, isn't it?
It is a good.
Yeah. It's. I think everyone should have sort of 6 months of their life where they just become that yes person. To just anything. If you get an offer or an invite, just do it.
To experience a bit of, I mean, you've got to experience life, haven't you? That's the whole. Yeah. That's how I look at it. There's certain things where I looked at it and I go, do I really want to do that? And you go, you know what? You only live once. Give it a go. Why not? Because
100%.
You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or in 6 months' time. You might end up in a position where you can't do it. So that's my
yeah, definitely. Whereabouts have you? How long have you been traveling? I say traveling. How long have you been travel/working?
So I actually moved out of Felixstowe in November 2020, and I moved to Lowestoft of all places, and that was really just like the one step out of the town and see what it's like and whatever. And I moved with a partner, and then I actually moved back to Felixstowe in April last year without the partner. So I kind of travelled out and then travelled back into Felixstowe, and then I went travelling properly in October last year. I went over to Lithuania, lived there for a few months, and then I was supposed to come back at Christmas, but because it looked like there was going to be a lockdown, I had to leave the EU, and I ended up in Georgia. So
ended up in Georgia.
Well, basically, Georgia's just outside the EU, isn't it? And I asked a freelance community that I'm part of, like, where do you recommend outside the EU? And someone was like, I'll go to Tbilisi in Georgia. Now I like to be by the sea as much as I can, so I actually went to Batumi, which is like their seaside summer capital, and I really recommend it. Really nice. But I did land there and figure out quite quickly that not a lot of people speak English, so I had to start learning Russian whilst I was there, which was challenging. Definitely is a bit challenging, but I've still continued with that as well. So it's all about just taking things as they go at the moment, and whatever new skills and new experiences I'm getting along the way, I'm just committing to doing them.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm very envious of the life that you're leading.
Yeah, really you mentioned you did Wing Chun and kickboxing for a few years, and you had to regrow your leg.
Yeah, regrowing my leg was a hard time. Basically, it was a rugby injury. So Do you guys, you've said that you played a little bit before, Steve, but do you guys understand rugby too much?
Oh, I love rugby. It's
Excellent.
one
So,
of my favourite.
you're Northern though, aren't you? So is it rugby league?
I know both sets of rules. I can watch both.
Okay, fair enough. So, rugby union in the ruck, basically.
So was you union, Chris?
I was union, yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I like
So
union. I don't like.
I was bridging over a ruck, and like I was the first man over, and someone alligator rolled me off. So just for your viewers' benefit, basically what it is someone will come over the top of me, grab me, and then they roll outwards, and it takes both of us off the ruck. So then the ruck is then clear for fresh competition, basically. But when they did this, my foot was between the tackler and the ball carrier. So when I went over, my leg stayed where it was, and essentially something had to go. It was either going to be my knee or my ankle, and it was my knee, and
shit.
Oh god, I still get a flashback to the sound because it was it was horrendous.
The sound.
Because it was like it's hard to describe. You know the cartoon when a tree goes open, they've got that proper like timber sound. It was almost like that, but quickly, like an elastic band.
Wow.
That's what they related to.
Wow.
And it basically ruined my knee. I snapped my cruciate completely, and I did my MCL as well. So that's two of the four major ligaments in the leg. I couldn't put any weight on it, couldn't stand. I was physically carried off the pitch, which, in my opinion, is how any rugby player should be taken off the pitch. So, I screamed like a footballer, though. I did. Just
about to say, but there was some curse words come out when that happened.
I was not a happy boy. So. It was very, very painful. But basically, inside your knee, the way that a normal kind of like tear happens in a muscle or a ligament is when you tear, that gap here fills with blood, and as the body kind of clears the blood away and fixes itself, they knit back together. Inside your knee is a capsule of liquid. So the two that run down the outside of your knee, your MCL and your LCL, keep the legs straight like that, and you can see them, whereas the ones in the middle are the ones that stop your two bones from moving out of position with each other, and they cross thread like that, so they stop any kind of this, and they allow your kneecap to just bend. And because it's a fluid joint, what happens is it snaps, the whole thing fills up with blood, so my leg was just huge. But because there's no ends, when the blood clears away, you're just left with a fluid ball again, so the ends don't find each other to knit back together. So the way that they fixed that was surgery, and they had to take part of my hamstring and basically like drill straight through the knee and sew it in. And it's amazing what they could do, because obviously they fixed me with a part of me rather than any kind of like artificial ligament. But it was 3 months before I could have the surgery, because you have to wait for the initial injury to kind of go away. And then it took another 9 months before I played rugby again after that. But by the time I had the surgery, because I'd had no real weight on the leg, my right leg had atrophied quite a bit, and it was basically like a pin when I started. It looked really weird because I had one chunky leg and one really small leg. But yeah, I had to basically regrow it over 7 months of physio, and then I ended up running a marathon a year later. So it was quite a journey, that one. But I think it helped me, to be honest, because if I hadn't gone through that, I use that to kind of rationalize my dystrophy a little bit, because I know that there are body parts that aren't affected that are okay. So where I've lost muscle in my leg's fine, like it's the same as the other one, that's okay. Whereas like in my shoulders, I know that once I've lost muscle, that's it.
Right. Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
You know some big words. Yeah.
We're just kind of sat here mostly trying to make heads or tail.
You know the anatomy, shall I say?
Yeah, I do know the anatomy. So
is that because of your Obviously, you spend a lot of time in hospitals or whatever.
No, it's mostly through sports. So I've learned a lot of sports science over the years. Whilst I was in
Sports science, yeah.
whilst I was in the gym, and then obviously since my diagnosis, I know a lot on dystrophy, um, and that's just purely because you want to understand yourself at this point, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, oh, you're 100%. What sort of level was you Wing Chun?
Well, I practiced it for a couple of years in Felixstowe with the trainer there, and it was more Wing Chun based MMA, so it wasn't pure Wing Chun
Right.
graded work. It was just continually improving myself, which I think I liked more than the grading system, because I don't know if you guys have ever done martial arts, but there's a lot of BS in the grading system. There's a lot of pay me this, and we'll say you go for a lesson or you go for an exam because you paid the money, you're passing it. I've been to a grading session in Europe recently, and I'm not going to throw out any names, but basically there were people who did the exam who I wouldn't have passed them at all, and they passed, and it's basically just a money making scheme, a lot of the grading stuff. So
Are you talking about kickboxing there, grading?
no, that was Wing Chun in Europe that I was doing.
Right.
I wouldn't have passed them, but they did get passed, and there's a lot of admission from people within different societies that it does happen. Basically, if you turn up to grading, then sometimes you're guaranteed to pass just because you're paying money. And there's a lot of rushing through grades in a lot of martial arts because people get impatient, and then when people get impatient, it's the same as one of your customers getting impatient. To a lot of martial arts kind of businesses, because they are businesses.
That surprises me with Wing Chun.
Well, it's not just Wing Chun. I don't want to
No,
completely.
you're on about the grading sort of. I mean, it's
just a great grading culture in general. I think it is good to recognise that you're at a certain level within certain martial arts, because obviously you're going to be paired off with people. But I'm just saying that the grading system is not always genuine. So where I was doing MMA in Felixstowe, we weren't doing a grading system, but I knew that I could kick higher. I knew that I could kick faster. And over time, I knew that I was progressively getting better. And I don't think you need a grade to tell you that. I think you just need to keep having your marginal gains.
Mhm.
The same,
100%.
the same as when you go to the gym. You know that you're going to lift that weight easier, or you know that you're going to lift more weight next time. You don't need someone to go, "Oh, you're a level 10 in weightlifting." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've done martial arts since I was about 7.
Nice. Which ones did you do?
How long we got? I started off doing karate. I was just going to say I've seen it in karate. I've seen it in kickboxing. The more common martial arts, the taekwondo, for example, karate. But I've not seen that in the Oriental arts. I did kung fu, praying mantis kung fu. That sort of made longest sort of martial art, and the premise on that was us under a Sifu called Master Lee Kam Wing. It was based in Hong Kong, and you was red sash. You had to train for a minimum of 10 years before you was even considered attempting a black sash.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no grading. There was just 2 colours. And like I said, I see a big difference between the common martial arts, which are more of a money-making scheme, if you like, or can be.
Mm-hmm.
I think that came about in sort of like the 90s with karate, after Karate Kid film and stuff like that. There's a karate school everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very common to push them through. Oh, we've got 5 black belts at our gym. Well, we've only got 3. Why have you got 5 black belts? How legitimate are them black belts? But martial arts such as the pure martial arts, I'll use the term pure as in the kung fu, the jiu-jitsu, the Brazilian jiu-jitsu, the Japanese jiu-jitsu to some degree. That they're the more the purer things in my head. The Wing Chun, the Jeet Kune Do, and I don't never seen a rush in that. That's why I'm surprised you've seen it in Wing Chun.
No, well, I've only seen it in Wing Chun where I was, and I do have to kind of say it wasn't all the graders, and it wasn't all the people there. There are very legitimate trainers there, but it's when certain things come out of the art that you then know shouldn't be right. Like, oh, once you get to this level, we will learn this technique, and it's like, but Sorry, that was really bad. So there's a sense of you have to finish something first and then level up again in martial arts, and it's almost like you're not learning as much as you could be learning. You're learning it according to a system that is designed to make money and not designed to teach you martial arts. Nevertheless, it is effective. Even if you do some kind of BS martial art for 2-3 years, there's no way you're not going to get better. There's no way you're not going to be able
What's
to.
bullshit martial art? Let's have it out.
Yeah, that was going to ask
Okay.
the question.
Okay.
Come on.
So essentially,
Your
Aikido
opinion.
is definitely a bullshit martial art.
Say again, sorry.
Aikido.
Right, yeah.
Why?
Just when you look at some of the things that they do, if we stay away from the whole, oh, I can make you do what I want without touching you.
That's not Aikido, though, is it?
It does come out of Aikido quite a lot. Some of the higher level stuff is we can make you stay still or whatever without touching you. And the other thing is the long, complicated moves that you have to do to get out of certain situations, which would not go like that outside of drilling. I think the main thing you can do when you go to a martial arts school is if they pressure test, then you probably got a good one. Whereas the ones who don't spar and don't make you practice, with somebody actually trying to hurt you, where you can try and execute the move, if that's when you find out if your art's BS or whether it's actually just we're going to do some choreography that looks like martial arts but is actually pretty ineffective.
Is it a
Aikido 100% agree.
Seagal does?
Sorry?
Is it a Aikido that Steven Seagal does? I'm sure it is.
Yes,
I think
it is.
he does a mix, doesn't he?
You basically just call Steven Seagal's martial art bullshit.
I would not say that to his face.
It's something like
my light's trying to protect me now as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think he's something like 9th dan, isn't he? Is it sort of like the second highest ranking Aikido master in the world and the highest outside of Japan?
Yeah.
Something daft. I'm sure it's Aikido that he does. I've done Hapkido. I've had to go with Hapkido.
What's that? What's like one of the principles?
They mainly use a walking stick as a weapon, based on the Aikido principle of using your opposition's sort of weight against them, weight and momentum against them. But yeah, I'll 100% agree on the pure. I think Joe Rogan said it best. I love Joe Rogan as a martial artist as well, as a podcaster and a comedian, whatever. He said it best with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. If you want to find out about yourself, go to Jiu-Jitsu and roll. You cannot bullshit your way out of that. That is the purest form of no bullshit, whichever way you word it. But you cannot, when somebody's on your back trying to choke you, you either know what to do or you do not. You cannot bullshit your way out of that.
Yeah.
And I think that is just a great sort of way to look at life, because you get bullshitters everywhere, don't you? Mm-hmm. And it's great. I love jiu-jitsu. I've not done it for quite a while now, but
never tried jiu-jitsu.
It's something I keep meaning to go.
I'd love to do jiu-jitsu, but unfortunately, like the shoulder, like the way that my shoulders work and stuff. Whenever I've tried it's a lot of strain on the shoulders. But yeah, I'd love to do it. It's essentially like Wing Chun lying down in a way, because it's all about feeling movement and being able to react to what's going on based on what you feel rather than what you're thinking at the time. So yeah, I think it would be very good to do, but unfortunately, it's just not something I can do anymore.
Have you competed in Wing Chun?
No, I used to spar quite a lot in Felixstowe. Don't spar so much now, and I've never actually stepped into a ring, to like a proper ring on a fight night. How about you? Did you ever compete?
Yeah, I've competed karate, kickboxing, rapid harness, which is stick and knife fighting, full contact kung fu. Various. I could speak all night, but yeah, I used to love competition. I've got a crushed disc in my lower spine now, so that sort of, it doesn't hinder. I think I got a reality check a few years ago. I was training. They married into my family. There's they're called the Sugdens. They're a big martial arts family. The youngest brother, he's just 2 weeks ago won the ISCA World Championship, so he's a world championship kickboxer fighting out of glory, like K1 rules. The other brother's a professional. He was ranked number 2 in glory kickboxing, and the middle brother, he was sort of in the top 50 UK MMA fighters. So I used to train with those guys a little bit.
Basically,
And
you wouldn't want to be a burglar in their house then.
Oh fuck no. And the dad who bred these 3 boys, he was multi-world championship kickboxer at the time. But check them out. They're called the Sugdens. Awesome, but they're lovely people as well. But anyway, I used to train with those a bit, and I know they were very, very skilled. I'm more skilled than they've got more skill in their right hand that I can put together. But it's like I couldn't see these punches coming at me. And it's like, I'm 37 now. These guys are 21, 22. And it's like, you know what? It's time to take a back seat on the... I can't compete. My reflexes, as you get older, you can't, 37, it's not many footballers play past that age, do they? So it's like, yeah, that was a wake-up call of you're not as quick as what you was. You can't compete with these boys. So I took a back seat, and yeah, I don't really... I still have big interest in it, but I don't really train anymore. I've gone more into the gym side of things.
Fair enough. Well, even if you're just training it and hitting the bag, it still takes it out of you, doesn't it? I think when I first started doing MMA, I must have been 21, 22. And I'd been playing rugby for years and going to the gym for years, and I thought I was quite fit. And of course, I got a massive slap in the face reality check when I started fighting.
Mate.
There's a massive difference.
It's scrumming, and then there's wrestling.
Yeah, well, pre-season training at rugby, you're like, you can get as fit as you like, but as soon as you get on the pitch, it's a different level of fitness, and it takes a few games to get it back.
Right, same when you're in the ring. Exactly the same, because even when you're not in the ring and you're just training, you can train as much as you want with sparring. When like if it's like continuous, for example, that's a completely different ball game to when you step in there and it's full contact, and someone's actually hitting you. Because every time they hit you and they connect, that takes it out of you. Whereas if it's like continuous or just sparring, you might get the odd little knock, but it's not the punch and the impact doesn't actually take it out of you. 2 different ball games, full contact, and I find it is.
Yeah, that's why a lot of places do sparring, but then they also do hard sparring intermittently, don't they, to make sure that you are actually fighting fit and not just sparring fit.
Yeah, 2 different avenues. So what are you saying, scrum versus grappling?
Well, scrum versus being fighting fit is a bit different, because when you hit someone with a tackle, you've literally got that one hit, and I mean, if you're the one tackling, you're in control of it, and you go in full pelt, because otherwise you're going to get hurt. But it's one big impact, and if you get tackled, normally that's 1, 2, 3. It's not going to be that many impacts. But when you're obviously in a ring, as you guys know, it's not one impact and then 30 seconds later another one, 30 seconds later another one, whatever. It's bang, 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 and if you don't sort something out, it's going to keep coming at you. So it's a whole face. Yeah, I think that's why they call it being fighting fit, isn't it? Because that is as high a fitness as you're probably going to get.
It is on any level, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I've done quite a few different things. I'd say fighting is definitely the most fit you have to be in a particular moment to stay on top of it. It's very different to endurance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. I was trying to think of a nice analogy.
I think it does a lot of it. Just does come down to the impact that you take, because you got, like you say, it's not just impact done for a bit, impact done for a bit. It's constant all the time. You're getting constantly hit all the time, face, body or whatever. And if it's MMA and you've got knees and elbows and stuff involved as well, and grappling on the floor, that's even more so than the kickboxing in your box.
Yeah, it's not just so much the impacts for me though. Unless you get caught, impact doesn't really. It's never seemed to bother me, unless I've gone a bit dizzy and a bit, tunnel visioned. It's more of you get took down, you get the breath took out of you, and then somebody's squeezing you at the same time, and that's the impacts that used to bother me.
Yeah, see, I never did MMA it was kickboxing that I did. So it wasn't ground grappling. There were none of that kind of stuff. It were all just, hands and feet. You'd train with knees and stuff like that, but very rarely in a sparring or competition situation or anything like that, you'd actually use knees and elbows, because that were more of a Thai boxing kind of thing, not just kickboxing. So it was very different in terms of rules, and it depended upon the rules that you set before the actual fight and stuff as well, to whether you was allowed to use them or not use them. So like for me, it was all just impact. Everything was impact. If you got caught with it, from just something as simple as lowering your hand down just a little bit and you got caught, you knew full well if you didn't very quickly come back round again, there were another.
Oh, yeah.
You were gone.
Yeah, that Muay Thai, that's not a bullshit martial art.
No.
No. You see results quite quickly in Muay Thai, don't you?
Yes, very much so. The same as Wing Chun, really. I think Wing Chun is one of the most best street self-defenses you could learn.
I think it is, but it's quite hard to learn at first, because a lot of it revolves around knowing how to feel what's going on. So
with the sticky hands, sticky palms. Do you call it sticky hands, sticky palms? Sticky hands.
But but it takes a long time to develop that sensitivity. And also, I mean, to be fair, when I first went into it, I was also not an experienced fighter, so there was a lot of getting past that initial panic of someone coming at you at the same time as trying to think. But the idea of Wing Chun is that it doesn't matter your size; it matters what you do with it. So it's quite handy when my strength is going, to be fair, to have something like that.
Yeah,
it's all about moving around what's coming at you,
controlling the centre line, isn't it?
Yeah, everything in for them, and it's all about attacking their centre line, putting them off balance, and then never letting them recover. So just it's a repeat hit system, isn't it, Wing Chun?
It's what the train punch, isn't it?
Yeah,
that rolling train punches.
To be fair, being on the end of a chain punch does suck.
Oh. Yeah, it's not nice.
No,
it's not nice. It's literally, I mean, you've seen the guys, haven't you, with the Wing Chun dummies? You're literally a dummy. If you get caught, if your centre line gets taken, you're a dummy, and they can stop whenever they want to stop. A good Wing Chun artist.
Yeah, it's it does take some recovering.
Do you still train Wing Chun?
I did a little bit of it in Lithuania. And I'll be doing a bit more of it when I go back as well, because it was nice to kind of narrow in just on Wing Chun rather than everything else that was around it in Felixstowe. And I did start grading there as well, because I think it'd just be nice to do it as something to do there, because everyone else grades there, so why not?
It's very nice. I like Wing Chun because it's a real yin and yang, isn't it? Excuse the pun. You're really soft and fluid, but then it just snaps. And you're off it. Where kickboxing and Muay Thai and stuff like that, it's very rigid, isn't it? It's very, bam, 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 bang. There's no fluidity, or not as much.
Yeah,
it's almost like dancing.
Yeah, that's the idea of Wing Chun, though, isn't it? You're not supposed to be big and tough. You're supposed to be like water, as Bruce Lee would say. But obviously,
be like water, be the tree, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I mean, he developed his art off of the back of Wing Chun anyway, didn't he? Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah, Jeet Kune Do. Have you done Jeet Kune Do?
I haven't. No, have you?
Yes. Under a guy that I tried to, I'm in talks with getting on actually with his PR. Kwoklan Wan, his name, in Urban Martial Arts in Leicester. He's one of the head guys of JKD, excuse me, in the UK. And also from Newark, we had Praying Mantis Kung Fu School, and we used to travel over to Leicester, and we used to spar Wing Chun or Jeet Kune Do versus us at Kung Fu, and it was some quite decent sparring nights, to be honest. It was good fun.
Yeah, good.
It was good fun. So yeah, Jeet Kune Do is really good. I'm a big fan of Bruce Lee as well, just his, inspiration and his outlook on life, and just how chill he was, really.
Yeah, made good movies too.
Yes, very good.
Have you seen any of the Wing Chun movies? Like Ip Man, obviously, is the most popular one.
Oh, Ip Man, all four, absolutely fantastic.
A little bit far-fetched in places, but definitely far.
But that is traditional martial arts films for me. If it wasn't far-fetched, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much.
Fair enough.
I love all the wire work, and in fact, Ip Man, I think it was Ip Man 4. I've made friends with a guy who was in that. Can you remember? There's a scene down an alleyway where the guy who plays Bruce Lee, he kicks the shit out of somebody.
Yeah, that's that's near the beginning, isn't it? In an alleyway with
I
three
think so.
guys who promise a one-on-one, and he starts beating him, and then all three beat him up. Is that the scene you're talking about?
It's down an alleyway. No, there's one of the guy and the baddie in the film. He jumps up and high kicks a street lamp. But I met him in a gym in Manchester. Mark Strange is called, and I'm friends with him now and stuff. He put me in touch. I've never heard of it, man, which is a bit embarrassing to say. But it's like, I'm in this martial arts film called It Man. I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. And it's wow, it's up there, one of my favourite films now. It really is. It's add and watch it, It Man, if you like martial arts.
I've sat and watched it.
You need to like Chris said, it's very far fetched in places. You need to appreciate the wire work, the obvious wire work.
Talking like far-fetched, like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, far-fetched.
Yes, it's traditional martial art films in a modern setting.
Yeah, I like stuff like that, so that's all right. That Shogun Assassin and all that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, it's all good shit.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. What's that other?
It's not quite Kung Fu Hustle though.
No. Kung Fu Hustle, Ong Bak as well. That's another great martial art film.
Awesome film, Ong Bak.
Tony Jaa, he's legit.
Well, they did two, didn't they? You've got the original one, which is the Korean one, and then didn't America do a remake of it? I'm sure they did.
Might have seen that on Netflix at some point.
Yeah, and it was crap. The original Korean one, the original Korean one where you've got to watch it with subtitles. That's the best one by far.
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember that well. I have to re-look at them ones. But what are your plans for? Sorry.
Just while we're on martial arts, have you you guys are obviously up north. Have you ever been to the UK martial arts show at Doncaster?
No.
Not at Doncaster, but I went to one at NEC. It could be the same show.
Maybe, I don't know. I think they've done it in Doncaster the last sort of several years. But I went there a few years ago. Really good show. Recommend it. Met Scott Adkins and Michael J. White there, so you probably know them.
Yeah. I mean, what is it? What's my favourite Scott Adkins film? He plays Boyka. He's in prison. Undisputed. You've not seen it?
I can't remember if I've seen that or not.
Undisputed 3. It doesn't follow a story, so to speak, but really check it out. Scott Adkins is a prisoner. I think he's a Russian prisoner, and all the top fighters from all over the world, the top prison inmate fighters from all over the world, get a chance to fight for the freedom. It's it's good. It's really good.
Yeah, a bit like Condemned and stuff like that. Then where they get the prisoner. Oh, there's another one as well where they have prisoners doing fighting, and they basically bet on who's going to win, and if the winner gets the freedom plus like $100,000 or whatever to reset.
It sounds similar, but yeah, it's really good. So that's my favourite Scott Adkins film. He's an absolute beast. He's fantastic to watch. But yeah, what have you got planned for the next sort of 12 months travel wise?
Well, I leave for Holland next week, and I'm over to Lithuania sort of a few days later, and then I'm there for a couple of months, over to Austria for 1 month, and then I'll be coming back to the UK because you have to be out of the EU after 90 days. And I suppose it kind of depends on the war as well, but I'd quite like to go back over to Georgia or Armenia kind of way and explore some of the Russian countries a little bit more, and potentially go over to Far East sort of like over the winter, because I'll be back in the UK for October time for the marathon. And
how far east?
Maybe like Bali or somewhere like that.
Oh, nice.
Really just depends on the lay of the land, because you can go anywhere, but I have to kind of factor in time difference. It's not that important now, whereas like when I first started traveling it probably was, but now that the business is a bit more established, I can kind of get away with being a bit further afield. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. What do you, well, when you go back to Austria and Lithuania, were you a hotel, or do you rent a
No,
house there, or?
Airbnb. So just living in an apartment for a month, and yeah, just like living anywhere.
Yeah, that's nice. I've not spoken to anybody that's that. So obviously, I speak to people that travel. That's quite a common thing, but they'll take probably 2 months off out of the year and go to Australia or Thailand or something. But somebody that actually lives, you're a bit of a nomad, really, I guess. For
Pretty much. Well, I mean, apart from needing to get out of logistics and trying to live a bit more of life, like the entire point of me doing this was to create a vehicle where I'd be able to go traveling and see and experience things, and then not have to worry about when I'm coming home or when the money's going to dry out or anything like that. Because I'm working for myself, I can do flexi time as much as I need to. I mean, I do work a lot still anyway, but if I want to take a morning off and go and do a tour, I can do that. Or if I want to explore something because it's a nice day, I can do that. But yeah, it's really about building the vehicle to allow me to experience more of life while I can.
yeah, that is absolutely brilliant. It's, I don't suppose you've got a Monday to Sunday, have you?
How do you mean?
Like, you can take a morning off when you want to.
I can, but then obviously I'm still accountable to people, and I do still work a lot of hours. But it's it is a little bit more flexible than just turning up at 9 and leaving at 5. You know what I mean?
Oh, I couldn't do it anymore. I really couldn't. When me and Adam spoke about it quite a few times, haven't we?
Yeah.
I've been self-employed, then not, then self-employed, then not again. And in 2016, I became self-employed again. I went subcontracting on building sites, but then when lockdown hit, I became unemployed when COVID hit UK. So that's when I set up a property maintenance business for myself, and it's just this freedom that me and Adam play golf. So it's like, oh, should we golf next week, mate? Yeah, I can swap a job around, and whatever. It just gives you that freedom. I'd encourage everyone to do it. I would.
Yeah,
I really would.
Well, 3-minute countdown, guys. Are we going to start wrapping up as well? Because it's 10:20, isn't it?
Yeah, that's cool. Chris, are you happy?
Anything?
Yeah. Sorry?
If you can... Sorry?
Oh, no, I just said, is there anything else that you want to discuss or plug in? Or
if Chris can just obviously tell people where to find him if you want followers, yourself, Chris, your business, your charities.
Yeah, so if you want to give me a follow, guys, I'm on Facebook, Chris Stennett. I'm on LinkedIn, Chris Stennett. Instagram, Chris Stennett. You can email me at chris@copywriter.solutions. That's my business name, copywriter and digital marketer. And thank you both for having me on today.